I'm going to make art. Okay, so I have my blank paper, my crayons, and time to make art. Oh no! I have to prepare lunch. It's all by myself. So what's going to happen to my art? Like, why? Why do I have to prepare lunch? Why is it on me to prepare lunch? Oh my god. Come along with me, guys. In this moment where I am forced to abandon my art and my art process and the inspiration that filled my head first thing this morning to come downstairs and prepare lunch, I can't help but reflect on the women in ancient times who had to not only be relegated to house duties and women duties and wifely duties and motherhood or managing the estate or managing the servant depending on their class of wealth at the time. They just were not seen as artists. Louise Otto Peters in 1849 quotes, "The history of all times and of today especially teaches that women will be forgotten if they forget to think about themselves." Women have created art since earliest times. In the ancient world, the Greeks celebrated the artworks of Aristoteles, Irene, Calypso, and Thamyris. Hiya of Cyzicus, who lived in Rome around 100 BC, was famed as a painter, an engraver of ivories whose portraits were valued beyond price. During the Middle Ages, the women of the church from Hildegard of Bingen 1098 to 1179 and Saint Hilda of England 1610 to 680 achieved renown for their learning, piety, and power. In the great abbeys, they penned Latin verse, composed devotional music, and created illuminated manuscript, vestment, and other precious objects for both church and state. Noble women, too, gained fame for their achievement as embroiderers and fine artisans. The Bayeux Tapestry, the famous depiction of William the Conqueror's victory at the Battle of Hastings in 1066, is but one of many works created by noble women of the medieval court. Scores of ancient and medieval artists remain unknown, and in many instances this may be true, that Anonymous was a woman. Accepted into the sphere of art simply because of the fundamental reason of being a woman, and as women you are not considered capable or inherently built to make art. And so, delving into women's history in art, today's focus would be the very first Renaissance woman painter, Sofonisba Aguisola. As we go along to speak about the Renaissance and Baroque women in art, you guys will have to follow me along to cook otiza leaf soup today. How about that? Okay? Okay. First of all, we're going to fry chicken for the soup. My oil heats up for my chicken. I'd like to give a very heated quote by Christine de Pizan in 1405. "If it were customary to send little girls to school and teach them the same subject as are taught to boys, they would learn just as fully and would understand the subtleties of all arts and sciences." So, in that period, it was not common to send or to teach girls what the boys or the men were doing. The Renaissance philosophy of humanism did much to redefine the concept of man and to a lesser extent woman. Seeking to merge the ideals of ancient Greece and Rome with those of Christianity, the humanists endowed the individual with renewed importance and education became a path to virtue. For aristocratic and middle class women, schooling became an essential component of their upbringing for the first time, although they usually received less rigorous instructions than their male counterparts. Exceptional women were able to secure impressive liberties. Do not mind that dog. It's not easy being in charge of cooking, and kitchen duties. And no specific gender comes with like manufacturer settings to be able to handle kitchen tasks. Like if hot oil pours on you, it's not going to discriminate to burn you lighter because you have a vagina or more because you have a penis. So let's just clear up that information now. While I'm waiting for my chicken stock to boil and my chicken to fry, I can just do the dishes. The chicken looks nice and brown and our chicken stock is boiling. So now time for the next phase of the oziza soup. So the next phase is to add in fresh tomatoes. Look how red and lovely it is, just like my bandana. Okay. I think at this point I can give a disclaimer that I'm not a professional cook and I don't usually, how will I say, I'm not well versed in Nigerian soups, but I'm following a recipe, my mom's recipe. Hopefully it turns out okay. Okay? One important law about oziza soup or oziza leaf is that you do not use a knife to cut your vegetables, as in you don't use a knife with your oziza leaf. You are to use your hand to separate them. So as I wash it, I'm just like, making good work of of cutting them. You should cut it as small as it can go with your hands. Oh, hi there. At this stage, since the tomato mix is boiling, I'm going to add a few spoons, cooking spoon of this oil. This is palm oil and it's essential to most Nigerian soups. Can you tell that I'm already exhausted? I mean, like, how did those women do it in those times, yeah? Being in charge of everything like this, and my brain is overflowing, and I just want to lie down. Also, at this point, I don't know about my enthusiasm towards making any sort of art today. So, like, how do I show you this? One spoon of oil. 1 spoon of oil into the pot. Stir it, stir it, stir it, stir it, stir it. Allow to boil. We can put it back. I don't think this was a well thought out video idea. But I must continue my story. In the art, humanism advanced a new definition, the artist genius, whose workshop was the center of creative production. It was generally believed that females were incapable of genius, but those who did become artists often developed in a milieu that appreciated their talents and ambitions. So like if you were an artist with unenthusiastic parents or family, like a family structure where there was no respect for the art, there was no patron of the arts, that's already eliminating what the lower class, then go up to the middle class and the upper class, except those type of environment, female or women artists were not allowed to thrive, in their desire to become artists. They were frequently daughters of successful artists and worked in their father's studios uh, as the Bolognese painter Lavinia Fontina. So the tomato is boiling and thriving, the oil is boiling and thriving. I think it's time for us to add in the oziza leaf. Me desperately trying to shred the last few strands of the leaf. This is exactly how you're supposed to shred it. So what was I saying about the Bolognese painter Lavinia Fontana? I don't want to misspell or mispronounce her name because it's very important. Okay, the Bolognese painter Lavinia Fontana worked in her father's studio. Then the other that I'm mentioning here is Sophonisba Anguissola. She was a member of nobility and she's considered to be the first woman artist of the Renaissance. Born into an aristocratic family, she was the first woman artist to achieve international renown as a portrait painter, triumphing first in Italy and later becoming court painter to Philip II of Spain. How wonderful, like that must have felt then, like from your father's studio you just go directly to serve the king. Yay for women. Okay, let's add in the Oziza leaf now. I think it's all right by my judgment. I think we're good. If I'm making a mistake, well, I'm gonna eat it like that. I'm so exhausted. I don't think I can gather up any inspiration until after a very cold shower. I have bathed already, but I'm going to have to take another one because I feel like my whole body is smelling of oil. Just being in the kitchen and all this thing. Anyway, it's safely in the pot now. So we're going to let it boil for a while and add the MVP of the soup, which is achi. But till then, this is what it looks like. Just cover it up to boil. Now, before I add achi, which I don't really know the origins of, I just know when you go to the market and you tell them you want to buy achi, they'll prepare this for you. But anyway, before I add achi, which is the finale of the soup, I just want to like put into perspective how insane it was that the first female Renaissance painter in that era had to be a woman born into privilege, in aristocracy, yeah, who had a father that was an artist and who already like had access to a studio and material like art supply, unending, and then having so many servants catering to her and all of that, for her to be able to enter into this field just for one person. Do you know how many like women must have been sacrificed, in the sense of they've given up, or just the whole complications and the complexity of living as a woman in that era? For example, cooking for hours and dropping your inspiration first thing instead of like flowing in it, just to perform your womanly duties, your expectations as a daughter, as a wife, as a mother, as a slave. Let's not use the word slave, as a maid, all of that societal like pressure and demand of one person to perform, not leaving space for her humanity and the things she wants to do with her life, the way she wants to express herself, arts included. And so it's the amount of privilege, like I don't think it's something to be like yay for women in that moment. It is like yay for women in the like just within this woman's experience. That's Sophonisba, just yay for her. But like it is also a tragedy because the number of women that made up the entire populace in the era, how many of them lost out just for not having the privilege and the resources and the parents? Because it's not just about having money. You have to have a parent or a background in art, as in maybe a family member, a man in your family does art and is appreciative of art and he is a patron of the art, and that will just allow you to enter into that space. And then she didn't even just immediately she broke in, let's say, debut, she was now asked to serve Philip II of Spain, the king of Spain. Imagine how precious and wonderful her work must have been to catch the eye of the king at the time. How many more women, with their precious like talent and skills would have been able to, catch the eye of so many patrons at the time. But we're not given the chance. We're not allowed the chance. Not just given, they were not allowed. When you are born with sight and socialized to be a woman. Yeah. So just something to know before I add my archie. You guys, let's just do this. After this archie now, when the soup is done, I still have to make eba. So like, eba is gari that you used to eat with the soup. When does it end? When you put in archie, everything just thickens up and clumps up. So you have to have enough water to take it. So I guess I'm going to add more water to my soup. Just this amount. I feel like this will be too much though. I want it to last also. If you add water to your soup, it will last. Okay, so that is situated in. Yeah, it's supposed to look like this, I think. If it's not, shush. I don't want to hear anything in the comment. Just tell me we're done, please. Make it in this pot, this much water. I don't know if you can see, because it's just two of us at home. So, yeah. Oh. Hello. Did I add more water? Nah. Yeah, but it should not be too much, please. Because, or should it? Should it be too much? It should be much so that everybody will be full. Who is everybody? Just two people. I tried to add a little bit of water, so. My painting, my inspiration. Oh, God. So I put in my chicken, as you notice, so that it will absorb the taste of the soup. Yeah. This, my friends, my dear viewers, is the end of Oziza leaf soup. Everything is done. Everything is settled. I think my water is ready for eba. Oh God. One moment to sit down. Now, friends, to make eba, you need some important ingredients and tools. First of all, you need gari. I don't know if you'll be able to start spilling, but this is gari. Gari is roasted cassava that was left to dry in the sun and then goes through a process of processing to make gari. And you need something to turn gari, like when you're making eba. That thing is called, there's a Yoruba name for it, but I don't want to butcher it. I think they call it omorogun. Me, I'm not Yoruba, but I think yes, this is omorogun. What else? Or me, I just call it turn eba. So you just use it to turn the eba. So now you guys are going to witness me make eba. The water is quite much, so I'm going to turn a little bit of it here. This is gari. Just turn it in. Yeah, okay. I think it's okay. So that you don't end up like overstuffing it with more than gari usually rises, so I think this is enough. Oh, it's so easy. Once water and gari are like equal, like they are appropriately like measured or they match each other. But from what I'm seeing, this is too small. Let me put small. That's too small. But as I said, what I have to say is with water, water. Then you add gari. Too much. Then you turn it again. The point is to make it so smooth that you don't see like gari hanging out of it. Be completely done. I don't have anything like that, you guys. I don't have anything. Also, what that helps to like smooth the thing over. Like it's not about making it to mix together. I have to make it really enter inside the brains. At this point, I'm not so black, I'm not an expert. I'm a good. My research. You guys, what does this have to do with women in Renaissance era? Like, what does that have to do with women artists? Why did I put myself through this? Well, I actually had to make this lunch today, but I was like, why not give a little kind of show of empathy to empathize with women of those situations where they didn't even have choices, where they couldn't even make choices, where they were seen as lesser, where they were not seen as capable of genius, you know, like their male counterparts. And it's like, even in this era where like everyday feminism is fighting for more women's rights and all, situations like this, like where you're in Africa, or you have to make, you're responsible for making meals for your family, you know, as a woman and all that, or as a daughter or whatever, like there's no freedom, and maybe you're in this situation where you cannot move or you cannot live alone, you're living with your parents, and also you have to play a role by doing all of this, which is what I'm doing today. And I had to shelve my inspiration, my feeling for creating art. I had to shelve it to do this. You get, I still, and I can reward myself, you know, the next day. Like when tomorrow comes, I can just be like, tomorrow I'm just going to relax and, you know, make my art, you know, without any sort of interference of house chores or whatever, which I will still do, but like I'll do it on my own terms. I won't do it so early and so, you know, so timely. You get. So anyways, it's just like the intersection of all of it, you know, just empathizing with those women. They could not even have, they could not buy supplies, you know, to, what is about turn to stone. They could not buy, those women were not like privileged enough to even have their own money, talk of buying art supplies or going to studios or learning how to be artists, you know, under tutelage, receiving tutelage from other painters, which were all men. All those kind of things to consider, you get, when you're thinking about the history of women in art, and the fact that women still what do you call it, still triumphed, you know, still found a way to like show their, to raise their heads up in those situations. So it's not about like taking away, it's like even acknowledging the privilege, you know, that it took for Sophonisba to step out in her artistry and the environment that allowed her that, to give women a head, not a head start, but kind of just give women a presence, you know. Like when you say who was painting for, who was painting this portrait for, oh no, this is too high. Who was painting this portrait for Philip too? You know, you say, oh, it's Sophonisba by a woman, you know, all of that. And yeah, I think it's something to remember or to look upon with pride. See that? You guys, can you see how huge the eba is? Hey, God, I'm not a big eater, you guys. I'm not, I don't know why I added more Gary. Hey, Baba God. Yeah, now time to save it for family now. That's another aspect of it. Using your brain power to divide the food accordingly. It doesn't end, bruh. So like, let's share food for daddy. I'm going to put a lot for him. Let's put plenty for him, because he likes this soup. So hopefully he enjoys it so much that he doesn't even notice how big the eba is. I've given him like nearly all the eba, which is good, because I don't think I can finish like too much eba, to be honest. I like eba. Eba is my favorite. I hate semo. Pounded yam is very, my best one is masala. I ate masala when I was in Jos. Oh, perfect. Although I could not make it myself. I didn't learn how to make it on time before I left. I stayed there for a year. But like, yeah, eba is done. Now, this is where I've kept it. Time to serve. That I started cooking yesterday. I was like, let me prepare all the ingredients first. That's chicken. I boiled the chicken, prepared the ingredient for soup. My back. Did all that yesterday so that I'll have peace of mind today. And it still took me this long. I'm sure I spent more than 2 hours or 3 so doing all this. Still took me this long to make lunch. And the day is gone. The day is gone. What to do? What to do? Like, ah, yada yada.
So when I went back upstairs, I just felt like I would be cheating myself if I did all that kitchen work and didn't do my art, something that I personally wanted to do. I felt like I would be cheating myself, kind of like as if it wasn't fair. So I just sat down and pushed this out. This is supposed to be my representation of this half of Sophonisba's image of a lady with her daughter and her dog. And then I started suffering hand cramps. It was really, really bad. I still feel it after making the video and all of that, after cooking and everything. My hands are like, my fingers were cramping, my wrist was hurting, everything was hurting, and I just didn't want to stop because it felt like I would be cheating myself. I felt like it wasn't right. And again, more cramps. I don't know if at some point as a kid I was a lefty, but I felt comfortable using my left hand. Anyways, this is just my representation of the daughter aspect with the dog, and it is in my own style of drawing, which is just crayons on paper. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for giving me your time, and I hope I made an interesting watch on the history of women in art, Renaissance and Baroque era.